Hey, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never ever alone, ever. And here on Invisible Condition, also we get it. Okay, we understand that life can be tough sometimes, especially with a medical condition that nobody else sees. Right? You're the only one that knows what's going on because it's invisible. I get it. I'm 7 brain surgeries in. My condition requires that every once in a while, and I get it. It can be a little dicey sometimes. The other thing is, though, you got to keep this in mind. There's always hope. Always hope. So if you are struggling with that and you're having trouble with that hope piece, I want to help you. I want to talk to you. I want to help you with that because there's no reason anybody should be without hope. So shoot me an email right there if you are having trouble with that. I'd love to hear from you. Just put hope in the subject line. Let's talk. At the same time, I also I want to talk to you also about our nonprofit. Our nonprofit side of the show is called Hydro with Hope, and Hydro with Hope is an organization that I created, a nonprofit that I created a few years ago because hydrocephalus can be a crazy condition, man, and people need help, and so we created this nonprofit for more boots on the ground kind of help, like when people find out they have to have brain surgery again, right? Oh, what do we do? Well, you're in luck. I have a 150-page fill in the blank journal for you to be able to write down your thoughts, write down your insecurities and your prayers and your all the craziness that you're thinking during this whole process, and fill in the blank pages and all kinds of things. It's keep track of your medical records in there so that when you go to that follow-up for your neurosurgeon, you've got something to tell them instead of being caught with your memory falls out of your head at those appointments, right? No. You're set because you've got it all written down in your journal. And then also my wife and I speak around the country, and we love to just share hope and talk to families and help them to know that life does not end with brain surgery. It can be just the beginning. So Hydro with Hope is important. It's close to my heart, and I hope that you will consider donating. There's a great link to do so. And so I appreciate it. Thank you in advance. And, let's talk for a second about our guest, because that is why we're here today, because I want to tell his story. We want to get his story in front of you. So today's guest is someone whose life proves that resilience isn't just a mindset, it's a lived experience. Okay. Tom LeNoble is an executive leader, international speaker, resilience coach, and best-selling author whose career spanned for Fortune 500 companies, high growth startups, and he's done a lot of really cool stuff, over his career. Behind the business and success, though, Tom has also faced multiple life-threatening diagnoses that's forever changed how he sees life, leadership, and purpose. So we're going to talk about that. He's got a book that we're going to talk about. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I think that the most simple way to say it is he's still here. He's still here and he's still rocking it. So let's bring him on and kick this show off here. Where'd he go? There he is. There we go. Click of a button. Tom, thank you so much for being here, man. This is an honor.
Hey, Jeff, it's great to be with you. I've been really looking forward to this time with you.
Thank you. I've been excited about this all week, man. This is going to be fun. So I'm going to just do one thing here. First thing I want to do is address the audience real quick and just say, look, no matter where you're, like, whoops, that's not the one. This is the one right here. If you're watching during the episode here and Tom says something or I say something or, whatever, somewhere in the conversation, you hear something that you want to know more about, or you're like, wait a second, that's not true. That's not what I heard. Whatever. Throw a comment, Facebook, YouTube, super easy. Just comment and we can go back and forth and talk to you, and maybe we can get in touch with you, whatever. So use it. Facebook, YouTube, super easy to comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Also, this is Tom's website. This is a really good resource for you to learn more about him, about his book, about what he's doing, all the things. And we'll talk more about that for sure during the episode. We're just going to leave that up there. So scan the QR code, learn more. I do have a question for you, Tom, that I ask everybody that comes on the show, because I honestly, I just love the answer for everybody. On the days that were rough, on the, during the diagnoses, during the rough times, during, the days that are not awesome, how do you still maintain hope?
Jeff, that's a really good question. And I'm going to speak to something I call evidence. There is evidence that I have done it before, and I tap into that evidence. Sometimes we all forget the things we've accomplished before and to remember them, because there's nothing better than evidence to help you realize you can do it again. So I tap into that evidence of what I've been capable of, or what I've been able to accomplish or survive before, and tap in and know I can do it again.
Awesome. That's really good, man. That's good stuff. That's confidence boosting right there. If you've done it before, right? It's great. Totally. So like I was saying in your intro, like on the outside, everything looked awesome. Like you've led an amazing life. We're just talking about that before we came on the air. I mean, you're rocking it. You've done amazing. What happens behind the scenes, though, when things don't go awesome and you've got that invisible health challenge, right? So what has been the most significant invisible challenge that you've faced recently?
Well, it's interesting, as I wrote this book and put it out there, and I look at my life in business suits and hospital gowns, that flimsy piece of fabric that never ties well in the back. And,
Yes.
the challenges of 2 life-threatening illnesses. One I was told was terminal, and I've lived with metastatic cancer now for 13 years. I realized sometimes that you needed to be invisible, because I've worked for some amazing, amazing companies. And,
Yes.
The reality is, if they had known I was sick, they wouldn't have hired me. They certainly, and thank you for putting the book up there, if they had known about anything about the high heels, I know they wouldn't have hired me. So it requires one to keep things invisible. And one of the great things about this book is I'm a really private man, and I've told all my secrets. And I have to tell you, Jeff, it's so liberating. And I imagine there's going to be somebody I worked with, one of those companies, that are going to come across this book and read it and go, holy cow, what was going on?
Wait a minute. Is that the same guy? Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Well, at this point, who cares, right?
I don't. Yeah, it's great. That's the best feeling in the world, is it really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I had somebody, I just recorded a show with an amazing young man a few days ago, and he has a book that he released too, and he kind of felt the same way. He's like, you know what? I'm naming names, man. What are they going to do? They can't touch me, so I'm just gonna put it all out there.
I was thinking about it the other day, and I remember in parts of the journey saying a prayer that, just let me look normal from here up. I can hide anything else. But this part of us, because of who we are as humans, you don't get to hide. And I know even today I can go into a doctor's office that I haven't seen the doctor before, and they will have looked at my chart and everything about me. And I've had them actually say to me when I walk in, "Where's the patient?"
Yeah.
I love it when it happens, but not everyone's that fortunate, but it's real. I mean, you can, there are things we can hide in life, and some things we can't hide. There's some ways we can be invisible and others we can't. And it is very liberating and great not to be invisible about it. And not only that, to empower others and help others see how important it is to step into who you are and what it can do for you and what it can mean and what it can mean to be of service to others through it.
100%. That reminds me, I mean, living with an invisible condition myself, I remember with my last brain surgery that I had in 2021, I remember somebody at the school that I worked at the time walked up to me and said, oh, so you're like, all they saw was the outside. And as well as I do that anybody that's dealt with an invisible condition for any length of time has a pain tolerance that's off the charts, right? It's the 1 to 10 scale they talk about in the doctor's
Very
office.
true.
It's a joke, right? We're beyond that. And so he asked me one time when I came back from that surgery, I came back to work, and he said, "Oh my gosh, so you're all good now? You're all set? You got the surgery done, so you're all good now?" I said, "Well, I'm alive now. I still have some stuff I got to work on, and it might not be the last one. I don't know." So, but it's so funny, that misunderstanding that people have when they don't live with one and they see somebody that looks so, not like you said, where's the patient, right?
Yeah. I even coach people about this because I can remember in the early days, people would say, "Oh, you look so good. How can you, either be on disability, or how can you look great," right? And it used to like really annoy me. And then I realized later that people sometimes are saying that because they don't know what to say. And then of course there's people that are saying it because they may think you're getting something you shouldn't be being privy to, or whatever it may be. But what I started doing is finding a way to help people be a little more introspective about their comments. So I would say something like, "Well, you can't always judge a book by its cover."
Yeah. Yes.
Or you can't always see the inside by the shell that's on the outside. And what it would do is it helps people pause for a moment and think about what their words mean. Because those of us that have invisible conditions, we know very well what's going on and that we have them. I know every day, twice a day, when I take a handful of pills, and when people say that, it can be very off-putting. But I've learned that there's a way to gently help them understand that maybe your words aren't appropriate because you might not have everything you think you know just by looking at what you see.
Right. And it's so funny because it's 100% true, though. You hit the nail right on the head. A lot of people just they can't not say something almost. It's like silence is not golden, like they feel like they have to fill the silence with something. And so they come up with the best thing they can muster off the top of their head. And usually it's not great. And sometimes it's downright offensive,
Yeah.
And so, sometimes silence is golden, everybody. Just.
Yeah. I had one time I left the hospital after some radiation treatments, and Jeff, I've had enough radiation that I glow in the dark. I could be your nightlight. And I was walking around, I was going to lunch afterwards, and I'd been through a number of treatments, and somebody asked me what I did. And I said, "I just came from the hospital." And they said, "Well, you look great." And I looked at them and I said, "I just went through, like, I'm on my 5th radiation treatment." And, and they're like, what? You don't look like that. And I pointed out to them that that's your sort of structure of knowing and what you think it's supposed to look like. There are many people walking around like me that have things going on in their life that you can't see. And my hope is that by us sharing that in a way that's not confrontational and not pointing it out, we help people think about their words for the other people that are going to be really, really hurt by it.
Words, and yes, 100%. Yes. And not just your words, but your attitudes, because I've noticed the story that I love to tell about this is the handicap spot story, right? Like the person pulls up in the car, they've got the handicap plates, it's like, it's legit. They pull up, they've got the plates. They're not one of those that like uses it when they're not supposed to. They pull in, they've got the plates. You see the person kind of get out of the car, kind of easily walk into the store, go get their stuff, come out, get back in the car and drive away with virtually perceivably no problems whatsoever. They just go in, do their thing, come out, drive away. And what's a first reaction for most people are looking at them going, they stole grandma's car with the handicap plate so they could park close. They didn't need that spot. They looked fine. But what they don't think about is maybe that person is living with fibromyalgia or MS or something that's invisible, that maybe they had to take a couple extra doses of that pain med and take a 2-hour nap to get the strength to be able to get to the store for that 20 minutes. And then they're going to go home and they're going to crash for the rest of the afternoon. That's their only outing for the day. Nobody thinks about that part. Right. So that's, I don't know.
People I think are judging a situation before they know the facts. I even think there's a few people that think you're getting something that I'm not getting. And because most of us, I think, walk around thinking that most humans are good by nature. And of course, there are people that take advantage of things, but let's face it, you don't really know what's going on in someone's life. And if nothing else, be respectful of that there could be something that you don't know about happening.
Right. Well, and when in doubt, be compassionate, man.
Exactly.
So, like when in doubt, err on that side.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can't. What's the words are out there? They're out there. So careful. You can't take them back. So, yeah. Well, so you say that like you look everybody like you look normal, you look great, you look fine, right? But a medical diagnosis like yours, like mine, like a lot of other people's can sometimes affect your identity, honestly. Especially somebody in a high performing, I mean, you've been doing a lot of cool stuff with a lot of cool people. Is that affected that at all? I mean, what does that do to that?
Sure, along the way it did, because while you look okay, you don't feel okay. And so you're sort of putting on a facade, because underneath you really just want to sit down and or lay down in some cases. And I think that you can't do that. And I got very good at being able to mask what I was feeling and being able to power through it, and to the point that it became something I was masterful at. But on the inside, you're still wondering what people notice, or things you can't do, or you might not be able to keep up. Or I know for a long time, the first thing I did when I walked into a new space, a new building, even in a restaurant, was the first thing I didn't do in that restaurant was look at the menu. I wanted to know where the bathroom was. just in case, right? Just in case. And conversely, I think for me, I'm also willing to go take the risk of, I remember on the cancer journey when I had my prostate out, the doctor came in the next morning and I was in the bed, and he looked at me and said, "Tom, I understand that you asked the nurses to disconnect your IV pump so you could plug in a power strip." And he goes, "What's that about?" And I said, "Well, you can see right here, I needed to plug in my computer and my phone so I could get back to work." And he looked at me and he goes, "If you can do that, you can go home tomorrow." And I realize not everybody can do this, right? But I went back to work because I actually felt better and knew I was going to heal better. I had proved that by re-engaging in life. I went back to work in a diaper and sat in my chair in a diaper, going to the bathroom and changing it when I needed to, because after that surgery, I'd lost control for a while. But rather than sit at home and think about it, I did something that kept my mind engaged and adapted to it. So I think these things happen if you're willing to embrace them, and not everyone can.
I agree. Not everybody can. And I had a similar experience with the last brain surgery. It was in 2021, and it was a 24-hour turnaround for brain surgery. I went in, the morning of this day, and by, I had surgery like 2:00 that day. And then by 2 or 3 the next day, we were driving home. It was like, and I'm not saying that was anything because of, anything stellar I did, but it was just, the turnaround was just unbelievable. So it's so crazy how fast you can go in and out of those places, but they get it. They look at you and they're like, "Oh, well, you're ready."
Yeah. Well, I think that also that's a state also of the healthcare system of your in and out. But I think part of it is those of us that have been through it enough, we know what to expect. The fear of it, while we still have fear, but the fear of it shifts a little bit, because there's an other side to it. It takes away some of the unknown. And as such, you're willing to move through it faster because we're ready to get to that other side. Right. And so I think it does. I think you almost get a little seasoning from the experiences we have to where people that are novices to it don't know what to expect and are more concerned and more worried about it. I think you can equate it to your first baby. You think they're going to break all the time. By the second or third one, you're like, oh, they're fine. We'll get back to them in a few minutes, right?
Exactly. Oh, they fell out of their chair. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. They'll climb back up.
So they're fine. Yeah.
Totally. Oh man, that's funny. It's so true. Any parent or grandparent out there knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
100%. Well, Tom, I'm so excited we're doing this, man. But we're gonna go to a break real quick. Make the sponsors happy, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. So we're gonna take that down, and then Tom. We'll see Tom in just another couple of minutes. Thank you so much for being here. All right, here we go. Now, you and I, if you've been watching for a little bit, you know that I love great coffee, right? I'm a straight up coffee nerd. Okay. I don't like the stuff if it doesn't have a roast date within the last couple of weeks, I don't want anything to do with it. I like fresh, good coffee. And so that's why I love Mike at Roast to Order Coffee. He gets it, he gets it. He roasts everything fresh. He ships it to your door, always coming up with new amazing varieties, flavors, types of coffee, delivery methods for coffee. And he's got you covered, man. For even the most discerning coffee drinker, honestly, whether you love really good coffee or you're not that picky, he's still amazing, and he's got everything you need. So whether you like an Ethiopian light roast or an espresso or decaf or flavored coffee, or use those little pods, the Keurig, or whatever, the coffee pods, he's got you covered, man. And he listens to his audience. And so they, a few years ago, they're like, hey, you don't have any flavored coffee. What if you tried that? And they did, and it took off. Now he's selling it. And so he is a very attentive person, and it's awesome. So, and also the other cool thing is he has e-gift cards, and he also has coffee subscriptions. So anybody in my family listening to this, I would love a coffee subscription. Thank you very much. So, and if you scan that QR code, you will get 20% off your first order. So there you go. Thank you very much. And we will see you on the other side.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Tom, for being here. This is awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Awesome. If you didn't see the first segment, you definitely want to go back and watch. It's good stuff. And there's a lot of story there that you want to hear. So go back and check it out. But I know that there's been we were talking about a lot of hard stuff that's happened. I mean, there's a lot of hard stuff that you go through with everything you have lived with, but there's also that thing in humans that says we're not giving up. Right. So what helped you the most to shift from survival mode to that meaning and purpose side?
You know, Jeff, I had this thing happen when I was a little kid. It's part of my personality. And I know some people are going to identify with what I'm going to say as a kid. When your parents said, do as I say, not as I do, or don't do that because I said so. Well, when I heard don't do that because I said so, what that really meant to me is there's something I need to go explore, something I need to know more about. Well, translate that to me as an adult. And what happens to me when I hear from people that there's either nothing we can do, or I get labs come back and they're dire and there's nothing we can do, my reaction is, watch this. It's more of a challenge to me than it is that I'm ready to let go. And I think what happens when you face this a number of times, you already find the way to know what the potential outcome can be. And you have a choice. I can either go down that path and follow that, or I can find out what else might be out there and find out and go pursue it. You know, I wrote a new keynote recently that I want to tell you about, and it's titled Living Fully While Dying. And it comes in 3 phases for me. The first phase of my life, I was living fully without even thinking about dying. The second phase, I was living fully while being told I was going to die. And now I live in a phase where I'm living fully, realizing that I was dying all along. Because when we're born, the guarantee is one day we won't be here. Just like aging, while when we get older, that proverbial light gets a little closer and a little brighter. But the fact is, as soon as you were born, you started aging. So these instances where these happen, I remember one time getting the cancer diagnosis once again that said, it's come back in 5 places. We can't use radiation. It'll kill you. There's really nothing we can do, and do what you need to do. And, my reaction to that was, okay, I got that. Now watch this. And I would look at my watch or my phone and say, Tom, you got 40 minutes. Cry, stomp your feet, scream at God, do whatever you want to do. But then it's time to get on with it, because we already know what one outcome can be. But let's look and explore what else we might find. And in that case, I found another doctor that was going to allow me to do treatment that wasn't available anywhere else. And who knows what that did. But I think these things we do for ourselves empower our brains. They shift our mindset from what's impossible to I'm possible, and what even can be possible, versus just listening to what you're being told. And that's what I encourage your viewers and people dealing with these things. It's not to not deal with the reality and the gravity of the situation. I don't want to take away from anyone's illness, because trust me, I know they can be difficult. But what about exploring that side about what if, and maybe look at something that's possible?
Yep. 100%. That actually reminds me of a time I saw, I think it was Tom Cruise talking about a movie that he was making, and it was one of the Mission Impossible movies or something. And he was saying, he was explaining a stunt that he wanted to do, and he's like, this is what we want to do, and this is how we want to do it. And this is, this kind of, turn and blah, 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 blah. And the safety guy was like, I don't think we can do that. That's not going to work. That's not going to. So he goes, so I got another safety guy, and then we, and then we were able to do it. The movie turned out really good. So it was like, it's a different mindset. It's not like, don't tell me what I can't do. If you tell me what I can't do, I'm going to find somebody else who'll tell me what I can. So,
and people's words can be harmful. I had to, in the middle of all this, had to have my hip replaced when I was really sick in the early years. And the doctor walked in the room and looked at me and said, why are you going to get your hip replaced? It's going to last 25 years. You won't be here for 5. Well, you know what I did?
What?
I got a new doctor.
That's right. Yeah. That's a common misconception. I'm telling you, most people, I don't know why, the perception is in every other aspect of society, every other segment of society. If you don't like the hairdresser you go to, you get another one. If you don't like the opinion you got at the mechanic, you get to go second. You'll get a second opinion from another mechanic. Every other aspect of life, they do that. When somebody puts on that fancy white coat, they think they're untouchable. And I'm saying the patient thinks that they can't question that person. And it's the opposite of that.
I think you're correct. I know my parents, their generation, doctors, you kind of went and you turned your body over and you picked it up when they were through with it. And I think that goes down through the generations, but that never was that way for me. I had another doctor one time, and I was at a point that I needed a blood transfusion, and the blood could have killed me because it wasn't tested the way it is today. And it wasn't what I could do to somebody. It's what they had in their blood that wasn't being tested that could do to me.
Right.
And I was trying to get a different drug called Epogen that promotes red blood cells to grow. Okay. And we were in a little bit of a power play. And so I was for the appointment that really one thing needed to happen. Otherwise I was going to have a problem. And he was about an hour and 15 minutes late, and he walked in the room and he looked at his watch and said these words to me: "Your time's almost up." And to me, it was a metaphor of, here I am doing my best to stay alive. You're an hour and 15 minutes late, and you're going to walk in and tell me my time's almost up?
Come on.
So I finished the appointment. I found another doctor, and I made an appointment with that doctor, and I went back. And he looked at me and said, "What happened to you? You needed a transfusion?" I said, "I'm not here to talk to you about that. I had something I needed to tell you." And he said, "What is it?" I said, "You're fired." And he looked at me and said, you didn't need to make an appointment to tell me that." I said, "Oh, yes, I did."
Absolutely.
"Yes, I did."
That's fantastic. Man, that must have felt good.
I think we do these things because some people think I did that to be cocky or I did that to get even. Nope. To me, that's not what it was about. I was of sound mind enough and my health was strong enough that I knew the next time he did that to somebody, he would remember me and think about what he was going to do to someone else. So it wasn't about me as much as it was the next patient that came in that he was tempted to use those words with. Hopefully he would think twice before he used those words.
Totally. I love that. And that is honestly, I've never really thought about that, but man, would that be cool to actually do, like I had two neurologists that it was recommended that I go see, go see this one. And then if, you don't get anywhere with her, then go see this guy and maybe he'll be able to help you. In the midst of everything that was going on, side effects from my last brain surgery in 2021. And the woman that I went to see, the neurologist, she heard my story for about 10 minutes, figured she knew everything about me, and prescribed me an antipsychotic medication to take care of a symptom that she saw that I was dealing with. And that was not the right answer. But I was desperate. So I took it for a couple of weeks. And of course, that was terrible. The outcome was awful. The side effects were terrible. It was not a great thing. And so I got rid of that, went to the second one. And he actually was great. He spent like 3 hours with me the first appointment that we were there. And he worked with me for about 6 months. And at the end of that 6 months, he said something that I've never heard a doctor say ever in my life, before or since. He said, "After everything we've done, I don't know what else I can do for you. I'm out. I can't in good conscience keep bringing you here if I can't help you. Godspeed. If anything ever happens that you need me again, I'm happy to, give it another shot."
He became human with you, Jeff. He
became human, and he admitted that he couldn't help me.
Yes. Well, I shifted my approach later because I realized going and saying you're fired, I really wasn't making a lasting impact. So one time I had a cardiologist, and I was doing things that was more progressive, and I would take things from my visits that I had done with other people that was more progressive, and he wouldn't want to look at it because it wasn't standard of care. It wasn't the way he was trained.
Sure.
And so instead of saying you're fired or just leaving, I said, it appears we're not a good match. And he looked and stopped and looked at me and said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm working really, really hard to stay alive. I'm doing these things that may be to you a little outside your box, but to me, they mean something, and you're discounting them. So those two things don't sync up. You can tell me medically, you can tell me professionally why you think they don't work, but you don't get to discount them in this situation.
Yeah.
And it was
Well
interesting.
done.
I left there and made an appointment with a different cardiologist. And that doctor called me and wanted to know if I would come back. But at that point, I realized nobody's wrong here. We're just in a different mindset. So I share that with your viewers. There's times that it's not they're bad. It's not that a doctor's wrong. It's just they're not where you're at and where you're trying to progress to. But you had the good fortune of somebody that was willing to be human and not try and be the superhero.
And by the grace of God alone, I have had amazing neurosurgeons my entire life. I've had probably 4 throughout my life, and all of them, none of them have been, you hear horror stories, especially neurosurgeons, and the one, like the extra, right? Not just the GP, the doctors, but the ones with the specialties, the heart surgeons and the transplant and the brain surgeons and stuff. They can get kind of full of themselves a little bit sometimes. Not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but I've heard stories, and thankfully that's never been my experience. But I know that when there's a practitioner that's not right, and then you don't feel it, like you're not feeling it with that one, it's okay to find another one. Like it's okay. It's recommended even. Like, don't stick around with a doctor that you're not comfortable with.
Yes, no, because it's not a good match. It's not good for healing. It's not good for promoting what you're trying to accomplish. At minimum, go get a second opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And I know sometimes that can be more expensive, or that can be, you go and you make another appointment, you got to, time and money and all that stuff. But man, when it comes to your health, and especially with an invisible condition, if there's surgery involved or something serious, always a good idea.
Yeah, and for some people, you just don't feel good. You just don't feel well enough to go at it again, right? Yeah. And so you just don't want to bother because you don't feel well. But it's worth it to, however you look at doing it, to go just see what else is there. If it doesn't feel right, it's not that you don't like what they're saying because they gave you a diagnosis you don't like. You might not like it, but say you want to have a second opinion, or say you want to get someone else's opinion, or you want to have somebody that looks at it from a different angle. Do that for yourself, because information is power, and I call it peace of mind.
Yes.
If you did that second appointment, that second opinion, you get the same answer. You did your best to try, and you just might be surprised at what you find. So if nothing else, bring yourself peace of mind.
And again, that happens with people. People do that in all kinds of other areas of life. Me personally, whether I'm calling the cell phone company or this repair guy or the cable company or whatever, I almost always call 3 times, no matter what. I call 3 times. And if 2 out of the 3 answers match, I know I'm being told the truth.
It's interesting, isn't it? We kind of have to these days, because
right?
Don't know.
You kind of have to these days. And so it's similar so why wouldn't you if you're doing it with something as simple as your cell phone bill, why wouldn't you do that with your health? Well,
one of the things you're bringing up here, Jeff, it's a little off than that, but still right on target, is sometimes when someone tells us something, if we can stay present enough to not go, I just don't like what you're saying, but we hear something inside that says, this just isn't quite right. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage people to listen to that, because we know things, we're just going to call it intuitively.
Yep.
And it's okay to make sure and validate that your feelings are wrong or right, because in some cases, when something just doesn't feel right, there's something trying to tell us something. It's not denial. It's not I'm unhappy with your answer. It's there's something that is saying this just doesn't fit. This glove I just put on is really not the right size. Or this shoes I just bought that say they're my size don't fit right. There's something wrong.
Right. It's like the sniff test, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. If it stinks, if it stinks everywhere, check on the bottom of your own shoe, right?
Exactly.
It might. So awesome. Well, hey, man, we're gonna go to one more short break, and then we'll come back and wrap things up with this incredible story. Man, thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Excited to continue after this message, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
All right, and we're back, and time flies, and we've got about 10 minutes left, so let's get down to it, man. I think after everything we've talked about, I'm curious, after everything you've been through and all the crazy and all the stuff, like we've got some valuable stuff out there for the audience here, but what habits have you created, positive habits or practices, or, to keep the mindset that you have? Because clearly something's working.
You know, Jeff, what I want to share with you, and I share this with a lot of clients, I find a lot of us live in the past as if we're going to be able to have a do-over, as if we have a rewind button, or we are like an app on our phone that says, press this little button, you go back 10 seconds. Life isn't like that. Mm-mm. So unless something in your past has something to teach you and you can learn from it, get here in the present. Right here is where the magic of life happens. So if you find yourself living in the past a lot, or thinking about what happened, find some help or think through it yourself or whatever, because living there, you're missing out what's happening here. I like to say, you might miss the butterfly that just flew by, or as Jeff and I like, the geckos that are playing above your head.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, we're just talking about Hawaii before the show, and man, I love geckos, man. I'm in the wrong state. I live in Colorado. I love geckos. I should be on Kauai or Maui or something. So, yeah. Yeah, geckos are pretty awesome. So that's great. That's a great answer, man. So what have you been doing now lately? I mean, let's talk about what's next,
Oh, wow. I have this practice where I'm a coach and I speak. I have my own podcast. I'm the CEO of a coaching academy, the Academy for Coaching Excellence. But my life has been consumed with what you see over my shoulder is this book. I launched this book. It was 8 weeks ago today, in fact. And it raced to a #1 bestseller with Amazon in 15 days. And what this book is about for my reader, it's a memoir that crosses over into self-help. And what I'm sharing in this book is who we are today is the sum parts of who we've been before in our life. And some of those parts in our life may seem out of control, outrageous. We need to keep them private. We may even feel shame or that somebody just might not understand. But the truth is, without all those parts, you would not be who you are today. So my life has been consumed with getting this book out, speaking about it, being on podcasts, and hearing some of the wonderful comments I've been getting back, which I keep getting from people. I can't put this book down, or I laughed, I cried, I did both at once. And they're really great. And my favorite thing is, and here locally, people will walk up to me or call me and say, I'm at this point, and I realize what they're talking about is a point in my life in the book. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I thought they're right here now. No, they're talking about something that happened when I was, 20 or something. It's been really, really funny. But that's what I've been doing a lot of, is getting the word out with the book about what's possible, even in this wild life that you'll read about that I've had of business suits, hospital gowns, and high heels.
Nice. And so what, so you're speaking, are you like virtually, are you traveling? What's like,
some of both. Yeah, some of both. A lot of speaking virtually, of course, because I mean, we all live in these boxes now, and thank God for it, because we reach so many more people and we get to meet people all over the world. Yep. And then some of it presence, because I think we also are at a time where we need to be with each other again and need to experience what it's like to be in the same room and face to face with each other safely, of course. And but I've been doing both, and it's been really great. I've been on some conferences or summits that are globally. I've even been speaking at churches, as well as I do a lot of work with nonprofits, and I coach executives. And often this book will come up as a topic, and there's some way that it's connected. There's something about it, because someone, if you can imagine, if you're a tech CEO founder, you want to know about the business suits, that gives me an opportunity to share something they may not think about with hospital gowns, or whatever that case may be. But that's where my attention has been, along with keeping those other things moving too.
Beautiful. That's amazing. So if somebody is listening right now, somebody's watching, and we got about 4 minutes left, but in the last 4 minutes, if somebody was listening and watching this episode, and they're in the middle of a crisis, a health crisis, life crisis, what guidance would you give them? What would you tell them?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing, we hear it all the time, but it's true. If you feel like you're having an emergency, don't risk it. Call 911. It's better to think about it later and go, oh, I'm glad nothing was wrong, than being worried about whether you inconvenienced or spent some money. If you're in danger, get help. I think next to that is there are many different paths to take here. One of them is some of the issues we need to work with are about psychology. We need to see that kind of professional. Some people need to see something like a coach or even a mentor. In my practice, I have this thing called the haystack method, because I believe my clients have their own answers, the needle in the haystack, if you will. And my job is to hold the space to help them clear away the hay so they can find that needle, so they can find their answers. Sometimes in life, that's all we need. Life can get complicated. Things can stack up, or Sometimes we don't see what's obvious to others because we're in the middle of it. And the net of what I mean by all of this is whatever it is, find somebody and use what I call the energy of support.
Energy of support. That's cool. Man, wish we had another 10 minutes to dive into that. That's pretty cool. I kind of see where you're going with that, though. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Well, yeah, that's fantastic. And we got a little bit more time, but I don't. I mean, man, I don't even know what to say. This has been amazing. This has been so fun.
Well, I'll share something with you, Jeff. We talked about the energy of support. Here's the great thing. There's the energy of time, the energy of enjoyment, the energy of physical vitality, the energy of relationship, the energy of support, and the energy of money. So what I see happening is often in our lives, I'm going to call them the tanks of these energies, look like the gas tank in your car. Yep. Some of them are running low. Some of them might even be running in excess. How do you identify that and know which tank needs some attention? Sometimes it's our relationship. Sometimes it's we need more time. Sometimes it's what I said about the support from others. Sometimes it's physical vitality. So sometimes it's just getting in touch with that and we find a little bit more balance in our life.
Love that. Yeah, it is energy. And there's so many, you're right. There's energy in all of those things. And it can definitely affect your day to day if any of them are low. So that's incredible.
Or too high.
Or too high. Yeah. Too high is not great either. Balance is a beautiful thing. Right. So yeah. Man, that's amazing. Well, Tom, thank you. We're out of time, but thank you so much for being here and for spending the time with me and with everybody here. And just I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you. Thank you,
Jeff. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been looking forward to it. It was everything I wanted it to be and expected, and more. And I just want to leave your viewers with one thought: is remember that in life, one of the greatest things you can do for yourself is do something for another. So however you want to express that, sometimes it's with your time, simply taking the time to talk or say hello to someone. Sometimes it's a talent, you can cook something, you can do something that's a craft or something, or sometimes it's with your treasure. And a treasure doesn't always mean money. It means something that you have that you share. And there's so many ways to do it. And but I promise you this, in doing it, in being of service to others, it's very true. It's not just cliche. You'll get much more in return.
That is 100% true. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay. See, I'm telling you guys. I learn something new every day. Nothing, every episode, I'm telling you. I know I say it every time, but it's true every stinking time. So, man, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I hope you took advantage of commenting and all that stuff. We'll answer you back and we'll have a conversation. We'll do all the things. And thank you for watching. So appreciate it. And, one other thing is if you do feel the need to give, I mean, I know everybody talks about year-end gift giving and all that kind of stuff. You can do it recurring too. So if you jump on this page and say, you know what, I want to support Hydro with Hope and I want to do it monthly. Man, thank you. I would love that. So just wanted to throw that out there again. I know that's close to a lot of people's hearts. So appreciate it. Join us for our next episode, which will be Friday, January 16th. And until then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.